Hello and greeting to you, every parent and every guardian out there. Today, I just feel to talk to us about our children and virtue, our children and values. Really, it is not the work of education institutions, schools, to instill values in our children. Yeah, they will discipline them when they go wrong, but you know what? Many a times you actually take to school kids who are not ready to learn because they are not learners from home. We may not be literate as parents. We may not be have everything to do with academics. We may know nothing about schoolwork, but teaching doesn't have to do with a book and a pen. So values are very key. Values are very important. And teaching starts from even the small things that we tend to ignore. When you teach your child to brush their teeth, to put the utensils in the sink after eating, to clear the table, those are basic lessons that every child needs to grow with. And when they learn to take teaching from home, even when they get to school, learning actually become even very easy for them. But I want to just basically dwell on the values, on character, on morality. That is not the work of the principals. It's not the work of the teachers. It's not the work of the schools. It's not even the work of the church. It is actually the work of the parent. The windows are there from the church, yes, and then the school. But the schools, basically, we take them there for academics, for knowledge, for skill, for their future professions and all that. But at home is where they learn values. And C.S. Lewis says that educating values, academics, education without values, it just makes one like a smarter devil. They are devilish but very smart, very learned, educated devils. Sorry to use that, but it's a quote I'm quoting, and I tend to believe it's very true. Why are we really denying our children God? Some of us are very generous. We are giving them every basic need they want. We are paying their school fees in full. We are we are making sure our children are okay, everything they want, they get. But we are actually denying them the most important thing, the most important person of their lives, and that is God. The truth of the matter is, the education, the successes, the victories without God is all vanity. I'm not saying this so that to demean academics. No, they are very, very, very important. It's very key. Especially in the days we live in, it's very important to educate our children. That is why even any parent who is proper parent will always educate their kids, even for themselves. They never saw the door of a school, but they have learned the values of school. But in the same way, why is it that taking them to school looks very mandatory? Where like to school, you have to go, there's no negotiation about it. But when it comes to church issues, when it comes to God, when it comes to Bible study, when it comes to, godliness, we give them options. They are free to choose. They can choose whether to go to the church or not, to go to the camp or not. But it's mandatory for them to go to school, which is okay. It's mandatory. My dear parent, it's only now you got the power. It's only now you got the space. It's only now you got the influence over your child to still make the decision for them, even about God, about Christianity, about their values. Because once they're out of school, you have pumped them with education, with everything they need. And once they're out, for us, we keep on thinking that when they're out of school, they'll have now enough time for God. Like before, in my growing up days, I used to hear mostly our parents would say, like, serving God, actually getting into pastoral ministry would be for those who have already retired. So you use all your energetic years, your profitable years, your young years to pursue your career, to be successful here and there, to build, to travel and do. Then after retirement, that is when now, give God his space. That is very, very wrong. Maybe it worked then, it can't work now. The Bible says in 2 Kings chapter 11, verse 21, If you read from the top, you'll understand it better. But verse 21 struck me. The Bible says, Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, not as a class prefect, not as a team leader, but as a king. He was 7 years old by the time he began to reign as king. Chapter 12 of 2 Kings, verse 2 says, and Joash did right in the sight of the Lord all his days, in which Jehoiada the priest instructed him. My fellow parents, our children need priests. Our children need to be pastored. They need to be shepherded into the right path. Don't deny them the privilege, the opportunity. They are not too young for God. Tuition is key. It's very, very important. But let's not deny them God in the name of education. With education, they'll just be better professionals, better learned people, better intellectuals with God. Otherwise, we see the people who are really pushing for the demonic agendas, even in our nations, in the world today. They are most learned, but they don't have God. They have turned against God. And let it not be the fate of our children when we still have the opportunity, when we still can speak to them and they can hear us. Let us not give them options when it comes to God. Let us not we are demeaning God in the sight of our children. Ourselves. It's not them. There's nothing wrong with these kids, mostly a good percentage of them. It is us parents, it is us guardians and adults who have made them think God is less important. This is more important. Your social life is more important. Your education is more important. This relationship is more important. All those things are important, but the most important of all is God. If at 7 years, Joash was anointed as king, he was placed on the throne to reign over Israel. My dear brethren, my dear fellow parents and guardians, is that your 7-year-old too young for God? And before he was anointed as king, read from verse 1 of chapter 11, you'll understand. This was a small boy who was hid by his aunt when the grandmother was killing the family, every heir of the father. Everybody was supposed to be anointed to take over the kingship after the father died. This young boy was hid as a baby. And I'm sure the priest, Jehoiada, trained him in the things of God from the time he was young. And that is why even at 7 years, when he was anointed to be king, everybody celebrated him. Everybody was happy that we have a king, a 7-year-old king. Please, let's not deny our children the chance, the opportunity, the privilege to know God at their young age. Shalom. The Lord bless you. Remember to share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know if this is helping us. Bye-bye.